Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday service for June 20th of 2021. And today I'm going to be sharing with you part 2 of lesson number 33 from the Way of Mastery. The last time I spoke here, I shared what the Master Jesus said. I can of my own self do nothing. I also shared that if I of my own self can do nothing, there must be something that is here assisting me, that can help me out. There must be something working in my personal experience that is here to assist me in my personal spiritual growth, to owning and having a life filled with the fullness of spirit within it. And that something is the presence and power of God, of Source, of Spirit, Christ, that resides in each and every one of us. As I stated last time, each Sunday when we are at the center, we make 3 statements. The first of which is, there is only one presence and one power, active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. That means that the only power in the universe is for good. So this morning, I would like us to take that statement more fully into our beings right now. So let's just say that together again. There is only one presence and one power, active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And now I'm going to ask that you close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And as you let it out, let's say that again. There is only one presence and one power, active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. This time, I would like us to say it very softly, really taking in the words and what they mean. There is only one presence and one power, active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Let's just sit with that for a moment. One presence, one power. Do you feel it? Just tune into that. Take a deep breath in. And as you let it out, just feel it in your entire body. One presence. Just sit with that for a moment. One power. And sit with God the good, omnipotent. All good. Power over all things. All things. The only power there is. And now just take a deep breath in. And as you let it out, be back here and open your eyes. I wanted to begin my message this morning with that. With you connecting with Source, with the Source that you are. It's one thing to have me be here sharing with you what I know to be true. It's another for you to sit there and listen to what I have to say as you yourself feel inside of you the truth of your being, the presence and power of God in you as you. So today, in sharing that second part of chapter 33 in the book, The Way of Mastery, we've already been told by Jesus that where you are, I am. And where I am, you are. There is only one thing, and you are that one. Your brother and sister are that one. Every living thing on this planet is the one. But how do we close the gap between thinking we are separate beings to knowing that we are the one? We close it by making the decision to give up seeking and acknowledge that we have found. Give up looking for ways to affirm that we are one with God and acknowledging that you are God itself. As Jesus stated in the book, that final step into the fullness of enlightenment can only be God recognizing that only God is, and you are that one. You can be perfectly enlightened now by simply seeing the truth that the thought you have held of yourself as separate has never been true. You are free to be that one who has the mind of Christ and shows up in the transfigured body mind. You are God. There is only God. There can only be God. Jesus tells us to fear not. Fear not the coming and going of the life of the body mind. For that life in itself is already perfectly unobstructed and free. It cannot hinder the truth of who you are when you choose to see from the truth what you are. He asked us to dare to begin to see that you are God, perceiving, looking out upon God's creation, and that God's creation is only God. One of the hardest things I think about all this is the part where we have to realize that all the power of God, all the power in heaven and earth resides within you, within each and every one of us. There is only God, and you are God's creation. You are God shaping itself into a temporary expression of itself. And why? To simply extend creation. We are here to create, but what are we creating? Remembering that it is the thoughts and feelings within us that are forming the energy around us. Do we allow ourselves to have the egoic pleasure of anger and animosity, one-upmanship? Or do we pull ourselves together and raise our energy to the highest level we're able to do at any given moment in time, and see and feel our world being created from that high level of beingness? Everything we do, everything we think, everything we feel is a decision that we have made to do, think, or feel. It is God making that decision because we are God. However, since for most of us, we're not realizing that we are God in action, we allow our energy to be pulled down to a much lower energetic field than we actually could be. We can make the decision to choose, to decree that only God exists. When we do that, our bodies even respond to that high level of energy and begin to take on a form that expresses the health and well-being, the aliveness, the perfection of all that God is as. And this is where self-love comes in. And we start right where we are at. We look at these bodies that we are in and we see all the faults. We feel all the extra pains. We feel all the frustration that we have about our bodies not being the way we want them to be. And then we just love that. No matter what's going on in our bodies, we just love them just as they are. We give thanks for these physical bodies, no matter what's going on inside of them. We give thanks for having the human body to move around this earth plane in. And that then brings us to a higher degree of gratitude and self-love that we have not had before. We have to have this type of self-love for ourselves before we can fully take in the deeper knowingness we are God. We can't know at one level that we are God, we are that one, and still be holding dissension to these physical bodies. The two go hand in hand. And that's why Jesus has said over and over in this book that self-love is the doorway that brings about the release of illusion. Because eventually you have to say, I am God and I love myself just the way I am. When we can move to that level, then we also can move to the level of accepting everyone else just as they are. When we can accept everyone else just as they are, then we are more fully opening the doorway to knowing that we are all one. You see, as the mind becomes more and more transparent to itself, the more it chooses to release illusion and stand in reality. And when that happens, Jesus says it must come to the door of the temple of heaven. It must open that door, which is to release any final sense of being outside the sanctuary of truth. For you to know God, then you have to realize that you already know God perfectly. And in the book, Jesus says that you have indeed been God, seeking God for the enjoyment of finding and knowing yourself as God again. Would you be willing to simply be God? And it doesn't require anything. So how do you show up as God? And I love Jesus's answer to this. If you are thirsty, drink water as God. If it's cold, put a sweater on as God. If you want to make love as God. If you want to sleep, then sleep as God. The only practice is to be that which you are, and you are the light of the world. And I would say, you are the light of the world, doing and being whatever you're choosing to do and be. You are the light that lights the world. And as Jesus says, You are that which generates awareness of experience. He says that that is all that we are as the mind of God, that which generates experience, or experience, the extension of creation. The irony is, in every moment of our existence, you have been the perfect expression of God. If you understand that you have been the perfect expression of God at the level of the state of consciousness you are in at every given moment of time. God extends creation constantly. You can't. You will always continue to exist as the one who creates experience. Only thing you have to ask is, what do I want? As Jesus says in the Way of Mastery, just look around you. This is what you wanted. Whatever you're experiencing right now at some level, this is what you wanted. Maybe not on a conscious level, but on an unconscious or subconscious level. When we open our minds and our hearts and truly begin to understand that we are God, then we resist nothing. It's then that you can embrace whatever is going on and love it and see it, that it is perfect, because that's the truth of it. Jesus says, for the mind that is awakened to the reality of God allows all things, trusts all things, embraces all things, and transcends all things, and sees the perfection literally showing up as all things. He says it's time to give up perceiving some things as more perfect than others. There is only God. There only has been God. There always will be only God. The thing is, you are the creator, and you create without ceasing. You remain free to create whatever you want to perceive, and you do it from within the mind, and you extend it out. You radiate it out with every thought and feeling. Jesus says that when an enlightened master shows up on the planet, it is simply that God has given up playing the game of the separate self through the body-mind. All it is. An enlightened mind realizes that there is only God. And in that freedom, it is free to show up as the body-mind in whatever way it wants. That's why the enlightened masters have total control over their bodies and the world around them. An enlightened mind is an enlightened mind. An enlightened mind sees everything as perfection. An enlightened mind knows that everyone is choosing the life they have for themselves. Maybe not consciously, but an enlightened mind sees only the perfection. As you become more of that enlightened mind, you then become free to be at peace, no matter what, free to release all judgment. You are then the one who is free to be free. And to be free is to be authentic. And to be authentic is to demonstrate the reality that only God exists. You are God choosing to remember that you are God. And as we remember that we are God, we then take on all the aspects of God. In unity, we say that God cannot bring us abundance because God is abundance itself. Therefore, you as God are abundance itself. We say that God can't bring us health because God is health itself. Therefore, you as God, our health itself. The same goes with joy, peace, harmony, and so much more. And now here's a different one that I want to share with you that I heard the other day. If you want a new car, you can't ask God to bring you a new car because God is the new car itself. Therefore, you as God are the new car itself. And when you can take that in and become the new car that you desire, you are then God expressing and creating as that new car. Then the car has to show up. So you could take that into anything and everything that you desire. But remember, to get to that point, you have to know that you are God. You are that one. There is only God. Only the mind of God exists. You are God choosing to remember that you are God. All giving is receiving. That's why loss is not possible and why death does not exist. God can only dissolve into God. The final step is to release resistance to creation itself and learn to show up as God in an individuated form. And mostly to have a good time, to love, to create, to expand. Jesus says in this lesson, I have given you the very rock bottom, most fundamental core that you can now sit with or dance with. If you wish, you can simply give up being identified as a separate self, still struggling to know the truth, and just accept that you are God. And once you begin to live as that one, you will grow into that knowingness deeper and deeper every single moment of your life until you radiate completely as the one. So I'm going to invite us to take this into a time of meditation. I invite you to just take a deep breath and close your eyes and say these words to yourself. I am God and I love myself. I am that one abiding as the leaf that falls from the tree. I am indeed that one that shudders against the cold of a winter storm. I am indeed that one that is the warmth of the sunlight that comes to caress the flower. I am the flower that receives the sunlight. I am the body mind arising and passing away. I am the quality of awareness that I choose to experience now. And when you're ready, you can just open your eyes and be right back here in this time and place. You are God. You are the fullness of all that God is. But it takes time to fully take that into each and every one of ourselves. So I invite you to sit with that during your meditation times, during more and more times of your day, during the times that you're washing dishes. Just be washing dishes as God. If you're reading a book, just read a book as God. If you're watching TV, watch TV as God. Whatever you're doing, do it as God. So thank you all for joining us this morning. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you all so much. Namaste. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life, expressing and creating as God. Amen.